Hello, parents. Welcome to my back to school night video. My name is Mr. Mike Fink. I am your child's English 9 teacher this year for the 2023-24 school year. My apologies for not being there tonight. I had a prior commitment that I couldn't get out of, but I hope that this video will answer any questions and provide you with enough information that you would normally get on a regular back to school night presentation. A little bit about me. This is my 16th year at Council Rock North. I always say this is the only real job I've ever had. I've never worked anywhere else professionally, and I never will. This place is amazing. Staff that I work with is amazing. You know, your kids are amazing, and I just really enjoy what I do every single day. As well as teaching ninth grade English, I teach 10th grade English as well. I'm also the advisor of the Student Executive Board, or SEB, here at North. And we just are in charge of different activities such as Blue and White Night, or the talent show, or the holiday project, which is buying presents for children in Bristol. We do a lot of school-wide activities, so I'm in charge of that as well. I went to Villanova University, graduated with my bachelor's in English, and I went to St. Joe's and got my master's degree in secondary education. I have two boys, Liam, who is 11, and EJ, who is 9. They are in 6th and 4th grade, so a little younger than your children that you have with me. Here's a quick picture of those two guys. They are ready to go on the first day of school. So, like I said, parent just like you, and excited for the new school year with these two. All right, so here's some expectations that I have for my students in English 9, and really for all my students. So I have the students should, the first thing is be present. Obviously, they can be present, marked present in attendance, but what I mean by being present is being in class, actively listening, being in class, participating, following along, asking questions if there's confusion, or if I'm going too fast or something like that. There's a difference. I wrote there a difference between being here, being present, and actually being here. Okay, participating, making the class more enjoyable, engaging with their peers, engaging with me in discussion, whatnot. So that's what I really need them to be, is present in the class. Second one says be flexible. I said it before, I'm teaching for 16 years, but I got to try new things. I'm using Canvas almost entirely 100% in this class. Sometimes I'll use a tool, a website, an app, and it'll be great, and we'll continue to use it. Other times I'll use something and the lesson will go terribly, and we'll have to go back and redo something. And that's just having the flexibility that the kids allow me to have, to know that, we got to try different stuff just to get a new message across. The kids need to be flexible as well with me, and I will be flexible with them. So I just mentioned to them today about asking for an extension. As long as it doesn't become a habit where it's happening with everything, I'm happy to do that. I know things come up, they're busy, they're in activities, they have 6 other classes, so I'm flexible with them as well. Next one says be prepared. As I mentioned, we're almost entirely on Canvas. So number one thing about being prepared is charging your Chromebook. Okay, they are very quick to be able to charge their phones every night. Let's get into the habit of having a fully charged Chromebook every day, because we need it. We need it pretty much every day in school. Um, Other things about being prepared is having your work done in a timely fashion. Um, you know, being able to submit that on time, doing the work that I assign in class when I give them class time, that kind of thing. Next thing down there says to be organized. In this digital world that we live in now, it's more like being organized digitally. So having their Google Drive organized, so they have English stuff in a folder and science in another folder, and all their subjects. Organizing their time is another thing. So if I give them 2 weeks to do something, let's not wait until maybe the day before to start it. I give them 2 weeks because it's going to take a significant amount of time. So being organized with their time. Next one, trying your best. They've probably been told that since they were in kindergarten. And that kind of goes with the whole thing about being present. Again, you could just be a body in class, but trying your best, knowing that you're going to probably fail sometimes, and sometimes you're going to have success. And being able to put yourself out there to try new things, to be wrong, and be able to learn from your mistakes when you do it. But you got to give me your effort. Last one, I really try to hammer home with ninth graders, and that's communicating and advocating for themselves. Um, I'm happy to hear from you. I'm happy to get emails and Canvas messages from you, but we really need to start giving these kids an opportunity to advocate for themselves. So, for instance, say they're not going to be here. They have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and they're going to miss my class. I'd much rather get an email or a message from them than from you. Now, that doesn't mean I don't want to hear from you, but if things creep up, we can reach out to one another. But it really is starting to get on them. They have to have some ownership for their grade. They have to have some ownership for their own learning. And I really try to stress that a lot this year. Come talk to me. I'm not an intimidating person. I'm pretty laid back. And usually all it takes is an email or a Canvas message or a quick 2-minute conversation, and stuff can get straightened out pretty quickly. Next slide is about the books that we're going to be reading. You'll notice the top right-hand corner there is a logo for a program that we're going to be using very, very exclusively this year called Actively Learn. And it provides us with texts that we'll be reading. All of these texts that are here are found on Actively Learn. And what they do is they have all this interactive activities to go along with them. They have questions that the students can't continue to read until they've answered the question. Like, we'll not let them scroll down until they've answered a comprehension question. So that really gets to understanding what they read, going back and rereading if they don't understand what they read, and really making those connections between their personal life and what they're reading, their prior knowledge and what they're reading. And this program, I think, is really going to be helpful. I've been trained on it a little bit, but I know there's a couple more trainings coming up that I'm going to be attending that really will help me open up this program and really use it for all it's worth. So you can see the other movies and books that we have listed there. I listed the movies there because we watch portions of all of them to go along with the reading of the books. At the very, very bottom, I have just that, there's various short stories, poems, articles that aren't listed on here are something that may come into play based on what comes across my desk. For vocabulary, we started a program last year called Membean. It's kind of a silly name, but it really is a really great program. I really saw some improvement between my ninth graders 2 years ago and my ninth graders last year with Membean. So it's an online program. There are tests that are given, but is completely unique to each student. Okay, so if a student is really struggling, then they'll kind of pull back on the pace of the program. If the student is really excelling and they're getting having a lot of success with vocabulary, then they'll just keep adding more words and more activities and so on and so forth. So every week we will do 3 15-minute trainings, they call them, so for a total of 45 minutes for the week. And then roughly every other week, we'll be doing a vocabulary test. And again, those are individualized for each student. So every student basically has a different test based on what words they were given. And both the training and the assessments, the tests, make up 15% of their marking period grade. And I'm going to get into grading a little bit later. Now we get into writing and grammar. And you'll see another logo down the bottom for a program called Quill that I'm trying for the first time this year. It's a free program, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. It kind of goes hand in hand with the writing and the grammar, and it really helps with sentence improvement is really what it's one of the big ones. So I'm going to kind of pair that with the Membean vocabulary, and we'll do Membean 3 days a week. We'll do Quill the other 2. So we'll have a little steady activity to do as soon as the class begins, and we'll get into that on a normal week. Okay. The other thing I'll mention is that there is a research-based paper, and that takes place in the 3rd marking period. And I'm going to go into a little more detail with that in terms of the percentage in a few minutes. Okay, so as I was just mentioning, grades, here are how grades are calculated. So the 1st and the 2nd marking periods are the same. The 3rd and the 4th marking periods are the same. So this slide has 1st and 2nd marking periods only. So I mentioned about the vocabulary. That's 15% of their grade. And everything else, tests that are not vocabulary tests, quizzes, projects, written assignments, classwork, homework, participation, all of that adds up to the other 85% of their marking period grade. Pretty simple. When it comes to third and fourth marking period, a little bit of a difference, a little bit of a twist. Vocabulary stays 15%. The other category that I already went over, that gets reduced from 85 to 60%. And then the other 25% is either that research paper that I mentioned, which is 25% of their third marking period grade, or their final exam, which is 25% of their fourth marking period grade. And all of that added up, if I did this correctly, would add up to 100%. This last slide's kind of like a catch-all, hodgepodge sort of slide with a bunch of different things on here. Number one is Canvas. I mentioned that we are 100% on Canvas. If you are aware of how Canvas works, you can be what they call an observer and look at what your son or daughter is doing and if they've turned things in on time. And you can be as engaged with your student on Canvas or not. It's totally up to you. But Canvas is a really good tool and another place that you can contact me. Absences. The way I handle absences is if they miss a major test, quiz, assessment, writing assignment, something like that, I give them a week to make it up. I know they have other classes, they have other work to do. Some teachers are really, really strict on the time period. I give them a week. If they haven't missed anything, then what they should be checking is, and I'm going to go over with the students this week this information, but the Canvas calendar. Then on Canvas they have a to-do list, and that's on the right side of the screen. And then I also have something called a weekly agenda that they can look at and say, oh, I was absent last Tuesday, and they can look and see what we did last Tuesday. HAC, Home Access Center hack, will really only be used for interim grades and final marking period grades. The most up-to-date assignment by assignment grade is really going to be on Canvas. And then assessment return, as soon as the assessment is graded on Canvas, it gets published out to everyone so you can see it immediately as soon as I'm finished with all the students in the class, then they're published. Student handbooks, if you have older sons or daughters, they may be familiar to you. It's a little small sort of daily planner that the school used to provide. We are not providing those this year. I can't say I love that decision, but if your student is more of a concrete student, they need to write down assignments with pen, pencil on a piece of paper, it might be something to invest in is going to Staples and buying an agenda book or a planner where they can write down their homework. Now, they live a digital life. They probably have apps that do the same thing. Again, the Canvas calendar has that information on there, but some students really need that concrete input, and we're not providing that anymore, and it's sort of a shame. Last two bullet points there are dates. The first interim report for the first marking period is October the 3rd. The end of the first marking period is November the 8th. And if your son or daughter is struggling, I will probably reach out to you way before November 8th. It'll probably be the end of October when we chat in terms of, they only have a week or two left. We need to, kind of pull this grade up. But I try to reach out about 2 weeks before the end of the marking period just to give a heads up about that. Bottom is true, and I hope that you realize that even though I am not here in person for back to school night, I'm always available to help your son or daughter, whether that's before school, staying after school. As long as you can provide a ride for them, I can stay most days for at least 45 minutes. And usually it doesn't take that long. Usually that conversation may be 5, 10, 15 minutes at most, and we can kind of iron out what's going on, kind of address the problems, and kind of help move forward in a positive way. So I'm happy to meet with your sons, daughters after school, before school, doesn't matter. Finally, if you do have questions or concerns about anything related to your student, you can email me. The email address is there on the screen, mfink@crst.org, or you can reach out via Canvas, and there's a Canvas messages option. You can message me that way. Same thing. It'll just come to my email, and I'll be able to respond back to you. I'm really sorry I can't be there right now tonight. Please make sure you go through this. You can pause it at any time and go back and listen to something else I said. And if you still have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with your students for the rest of the school year.